Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Uh, America remains a beacon of hope for millions around the globe who live without freedom or opportunity. And while hurdles certainly exist for many in our country, including family instability, unaffordable housing, and as mentioned earlier, failing schools, the United States remains a leader in economic opportunity and entrepreneurial drive. Our country provides Americans an equal opportunity to improve their economic situation through things like hard work, self-discipline, education, and a committed family. This success sequence goes beyond helping Americans with their financial goals, but to truly achieve the American dream. Yet many Americans do face real hurdles, and I believe we must find solutions for those. We need to understand why housing is so expensive and what's causing the epidemic of family instability in our culture. The National Association of Home Builders recently said that building homes cost an average of $36,000 more than last year, and a fourth of that price is due to regulations. This includes higher lumber prices, gas shortages, and a labor shortage. If owning a home is a key to building wealth and passing it down to children and grandchildren, which I believe it is, we need to look at policies that help Americans save money on homes, like less regulations and lower taxes. Rather than punish Americans who climbed up the economic ladder, we need to look for ways to help open the doors of opportunities for all Americans. One example of common sense policy that helped create economic opportunity was a recent reform in my home state of Kansas that will decrease occupational licensing requirements for military families who move into Kansas. It'll cut down wait times from 60 to only 15 days for military members and their families, allowing military spouses to return to work sooner after relocating. This is an example of a simple reform that's focused on expanding opportunity by cutting red tape and ultimately helping increase the wealth of others. I think it's important that we point out in America that wealth is not a pie. If someone works hard and does well, they're not taking away from someone else's piece of the pie. In fact, they may be helping create an even bigger pie by creating a job for them. Unfortunately, we're pursuing policies today that make it harder for that to happen. Tax hikes and more regulations will combine to form barriers to affordable housing for Americans who are trying to build wealth. I want to turn to Mr. Rowe and ask a few questions. Mr. Rowe, your work's helped many succeed. What are some of the key ingredients to creating more of these success stories? I believe you're on mute. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the question. I will once again proudly say I'm a graduate of the New York City public school system and Brooklyn Tech. And it's one of the specialized high schools in New York. And there's frustration that there aren't enough Black and Hispanic kids going to Brooklyn Tech. So what has been the idea? The idea to somehow increase the number of Black and Hispanic kids is to eliminate the objective standard, eliminate the assessment. They're reducing the standard. So instead of saying, how do we improve the quality of education K through 8 so that more kids can compete to be successful in these specialized high schools? And why don't we create more great high schools, as I'm doing, launching Vertex Partnership Academy so that kids in the Bronx, those 5,000, and that's just for our network, tens of thousands of families are desperate for a great chance to go to a school like Brooklyn Tech. I agree, we need all of our public schools. I champion public schools. That's why I run public charter schools. And you mentioned the success sequence. I do think it's important for folks to know, in 2017, there was a report called the Millennial Success Sequence that found that a stunning 91% of Black people avoided poverty when they reached their prime young adult years, age 28 to 34, if they followed what's called the success sequence. And again, that's no guarantee, but that's a term. But essentially, they earned at least a high school degree, worked full time, so they learned the dignity and discipline of work, and married before they had children, in that order. And this is not the only study. Raj Chetty, in his study, Where is the Land of Opportunity? The Geography of Intergenerational Mobility in the United States. He studied intergenerational mobility of more than 40 million children and their parents. He found that hyperlocal factors, most notably measures of father presence and marriage rates in a given location, drive upward mobility. If we know that, we have to make that part of the conversation.
Well, thank you. And as you are, I'm also a proud graduate of public schools, and I insisted that my kids go to public schools. I wanted them to get good education there. I also want to make sure that when public schools are failing, that we can come up with opportunities to make those work right and improve, hold them accountable so that they can help all children. So I appreciate the time, and Mr. Chairman, I yield back.